A little less conversation and a little more touch my body. 'Cause I'm so into you, into you, into you. Hi everyone, welcome back. So this is another podcast episode. I'm not doing anything too quirky, no super intense editing this time. But yeah, I just wanted to pop out another podcast episode. This time, like I said in my last episode, I'm going to be talking about Hozier, good old Andrew Hozier Byrne. So yeah, let's just kind of get into it, but I guess I should do a few little housekeeping things first. I keep saying, like, is this the first time that y'all are gonna see my room? This is the room that I reside in for grad school. It's great, but also, like, don't look too hard at things in the background, please. Yes, my Chris Evans poster is there. We don't talk about it. But yeah, I'm trying to remember, like, if there is a podcast episode where y'all have seen my room. And I don't think so, because I've done what, like, technically 5 so far, because I've done episode 1 part 1, episode 1 part 2, then second episode, third episode, fourth episode. This will be the this will be the 6th episode, but episode 5. Did I say that correctly? The 6th episode, but episode 5. Girl, I don't know. All I know is this is more of like a late night episode. I have been kind of like procrastinating on doing this all day because I don't think I'll be able to do it justice. I don't even think that I did the Jacob Collier one justice. Like, I really don't. I really want to know if y'all have any questions about Jacob or any, yeah, I don't know, like, if y'all need me to shamelessly plug any of his music, I'll do it. But before we kind of get into Hozier, I want to acknowledge that I am wearing a Hozier shirt that I got as merch when I saw him this past May. And I love it very dearly. And I'm also wearing the pin. Oh, it's really, really blurry. But trust me, I'm wearing a Hozier pin that so he's on tour right now, right? And every city that he goes to, there is an artist that makes a pin specifically for that city and for that show. And so yeah, I have the Camden, New Jersey pin. And I love it. It's very cute. And I also want to acknowledge that the last time you guys saw me and I did the Jacob Collier episode, I had different hair. My hair was braided, but it wasn't just full dark brown / black. It had like silver stuff. That was for my 25th birthday. So, and I'm actually wearing sunflower dangly earrings that my housemate and one of my best friends got me. So, just wanted to acknowledge the new do and potentially my room, which maybe you guys haven't seen before. I can't remember. I have recorded a few things in this room, but one of them was actually a live reaction of the first time that I listened to Eternal Sunshine, the album by Ariana Grande, and I didn't want to go through with editing it, simply because, like, having to edit in, like, all of my reactions to parts of songs was just a lot. It just felt like a lot, and I don't know. It was just a lot for me to do, so I didn't. So if this is your first time seeing my room, don't look at it too hard. Also, don't look at the light glare on my glasses, okay? We're rocking with whatever we're rocking with today. But yeah, let's just kind of get into it. I have my laptop right in front of me, so if it looks like I'm reading stuff, it's because I am. I want to be able to do, like, this justice, okay? I'm going to be doing an in-depth analysis of his latest album, Unreal Unearth, because that's how I got into him. You might be thinking, Shayla, this is not going to be relevant to me because I've never heard a Hozier song in my life. You have. And there's 2 that come to mind immediately, okay? Now, this one that I'm about to do is from a little over a decade ago. Do y'all remember the song Take Me to Church? Take me to church, I worship like a dog at the shrine of your lies. I tell you my sins and you can... That's Hozier. So yes, you've at least heard one song by him. Now, the other song that literally got popular over the summer, called Too Sweet, it's still out and popular as ever on the radio stations, at the mall, at wherever you're at, I'll take my whiskey neat. My coffee black. Oh, my voice. My coffee black in my bed at 3. You're too sweet for me. That song. Yeah, that's also him. Okay. Um, yeah. And in between those two songs, he has, I don't want to be wrong, I want to say he's got 3 like deluxe albums out, right? The self-titled one, then we've got Wasteland Baby that came out in like 2019. And then Unreal on Earth, which came out in August of 2023, so almost a whole year ago. So I guess I've been obsessed with Hozier for almost a year. Because I didn't get into him until Unreal on Earth came out. I don't really know what happened. I was just like, like I'm one of those people who, when I really like an artist, like I stick with them. They're my ride or dies. I never get tired of them. I'll listen to the same album over and over again until the wheels fall off, and they never do. I just keep on strolling and riding along. But every now and then I will like want a taste of something new that I've never heard before. And I guess I just stumbled upon Hozier and was like, oh, this is interesting. And what's interesting is like I don't think I listened to the album first. I think I was like going down a YouTube rabbit hole and was really looking for listening to somebody who I knew was a good live performer but also was just a fantastic lyricist, almost like a poet. And I guess my YouTube like recommended Hozier at one point for something, and I was like, okay, like who is this? What is he, like 6'5", 6'5" Irishman? Let me actually look. He's 6'6", pardon. Yes, I have his Google page up. Okay, listen. Anyways, and I was like, oh. And he was promoting his new album at the time, and he was talking about how Unreal on Earth kind of like walks you through, step by step, through the circles of hell, based off of Dante's Inferno. And I was like, what? So I think I listened to approximately, collectively, 8 hours of like basically podcast type interviews of Hozier just talking about what his music means to him, how deep his lyrics go, the context behind everything that he does, and like even outside of, Unreal on Earth, the album. And it was just so inspiring. Like, so many of his works are surrounded by, some really bleak history of the world, just promoting awareness of some really important like social justice matters as well. Like he's just on top of it. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like he's just an iconic Irish woke leftist king, and that's really like why I was like, okay, let me dive into it. And also like the way that he talks about his art and his music and his lyrics. I don't know, he just, like that meme by SpongeBob, well, in SpongeBob, where they're doing like an open mic night and Gary's just going meow 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 meow, and Sandy is like, he has such a way with words. That's me at Hozier. And yes, it is Hozier. It's not Hozier, it's not Hooters, it's not whatever you think it is, it's Hozier. Just want to put that out there. Full name, Andrew John Hozier Byrne. I actually never knew that the John was there. I'm gonna start saying that. I usually just call him Andrew Hozier Byrne, but that John's about to go crazy. But yeah, most of his stuff is very folksy. There's soul, there's some blues. Just absolutely beautiful. And taking a lot of like political and social justice stances. Once Unreal on Earth came out, and I was obsessed with it for like literally, like it was all that I listened to. Guys, it was so bad. So I didn't get into the album when it first came out. I got into it around like September, October. And I want to say like the beginning of October. So y'all know how like you can get your Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year? They stop recording your Spotify Wrapped by the end of November, so they have all of December to like get everything together and formulate everyone's Spotify rap so people can have it before the end of the year. Okay, so that means between the beginning of October and the end of November is all of the time that I had to listen to Hozier, okay? My Spotify Wrapped was just Hozier. Like, literally, my top 5 songs were songs from Unreal Unearthed. He was my top artist, and I only had 2 months out of 11 months for that to be recorded. And he was my top everything, top album, top, like, it was, I'm concerned, right? So after like four months, I want to say, of like really, really getting into that album, I then kind of ventured into all of his other stuff. So that includes the other, 2 older albums. If I could rank them personally, I would say I still love Unreal Unearthed the most because that's how I like fell in love with him and his music. Then I would say Self-Titled, and then I would say Wasteland Baby. I do like Wasteland Baby a lot. Like, it's not like, oh, I don't like vibe with it. I love all of them for very different reasons. And then there's like little EPs throughout, and I've said this before. I'm somebody who there's 2 parts of this. I'm somebody who likes to listen to an artist on Spotify and put the artist on shuffle. So there are some songs that like you wouldn't hear if you just like listened to the albums. Like he did a song for a gaming soundtrack, and it's called Blood Upon the Snow. And if it comes on when I'm in the car, it feels like I'm charging into battle. And I'm going 85 miles per hour in the left lane, and I'm not slowing down. I will run you over because I'm charging into battle. Like, I said what I said. The other thing that you guys know is that when I listen to an album, I am always listening to it in order. And it's like Unreal Unearthed like answered my prayers, because literally you have to listen to it in order because it takes you through all of the circles of hell and back out into the world. Like, it is an album that you listen to all the way through in order because it tells the story, and it's just so beautiful. So I guess I'm just gonna do like a quick analysis both lyrically and sonically for Unreal Unearthed, and really just unpack like just how powerful this stuff is and how cool it is. Like, just let me geek out, like let me cook for a little bit. This is not fully formed, but I just want you guys to know that like after, like I said, like I listened to maybe 8 hours collectively of him talking about this album and his artistry and everything and the meaning behind a lot of the songs. I then proceeded to finally listen to the album with my Beats headphones on, okay, and I just sat down on that bed, lights off. I had my LEDs on red, I think, and I just had my phone open to Spotify with the lyrics so I could listen to it surround sound, full blast, with the lyrics on the whole time. And I sobbed so hard. And like, I think in the past year, I've only sobbed really, really hard to like 2 artists and the music that they have brought into this world. And one is Jacob Collier, because Jesse Volume 4 came out, and it was just a whole wraparound experience of what those past, what did I say, like 8 years has been like? 8? 6 years. 6 years. And then the other time that I sobbed, like I was convulsing, was Unreal Unearthed. And it's so beautiful. There's no other way to explain. It's just so beautiful. So to kind of give some context before I go song by song, let's see. Unreal Unearthed has 16 tracks. It is beautiful. Okay. I've literally got Genius looked up so I could go through the lyrics for each one. I know each of them sound because I've listened to it so many times, so I'm not gonna like play little clips. If you want to, I would honestly advise you to pull up Unreal Unearthed on whatever streaming platform you use, even like YouTube if you need to do that. And as I kind of like talk about each song, that'd be so cute. It's like a little listening party, and I'm like kind of explaining it as you go along. I could like talk about the song, and then before I move on to the next one, you should listen to the song. and then we like keep going. That'd be so cute. But yeah, before I go into all of it, let me just talk about Unreal Unearth. So some of the singles that came out before the full thing came out was Eat Your Young, Francesca, and All Things End. You might have heard Eat Your Young before. Get some, pull up the lever till the floor comes. That's Eat Your Young. But yeah, Unreal Unearth is based off of Dante's Inferno. If you don't know what Dante's Inferno is the first part of Italian writer Dante. I'm not even going to try and say his last name, but it's a 14th century narrative poem called the Divine Comedy. It's literally about the journey of, I'm reading this, a fictionalized version of Dante himself going through hell, guided by the ancient Roman poet Virgil. And so you're going through, what does it say? It says Dante's version of Purgatory is extraordinarily detailed and in some key respects strikingly original. First, he imagines Purgatory as being divided up into 7 terraces, each one corresponding to a vice. In the order that Dante sees them: pride, envy, wrath, sloth. I don't know what avarice is. Girl, I can't read. It's fine. I'm illiterate. Prodigality, like the prodigal son. Got you. Gluttony and lust. I also have a thing, but there are 9 circles of hell. And so basically Hozier was basing it off of Dante's Inferno because he read Dante's Inferno during COVID, and it like sparked something within him to just like write about it. But he took it a step further and like really went and kind of made a song or maybe a few songs about some of the circles of hell. So we've got, girl, where is circle? Oh, circle 1 is like the surface basically, and then you've got circle 2, which is lust. Circle 3 is gluttony. 4 is greed. Wrath is 5. Heresy is 6. Violence is 7. 8 is fraud. And 9 is treachery. Will I be able to explain like the circle for each song? Might be a little difficult. I'm not gonna say it's like super like heavy on each circle, but it really is beautiful. So let me pull these lyrics up, and if you want to listen along, okay, the way that he opens up this, okay, so the first song is called DeSelby Part 1. The way he opens up this album is absolutely beautiful. I don't know how else to explain it. It starts off, and it sounds almost like a voice memo, and he just pressed record, and then he's like sitting at a chair, or it sounds so homey and so intimate, because yeah, it sounds like he starts recording on his phone on like a voice memo thing and sits down and just starts playing the guitar, and then after a little bit you start to hear this beautiful falsetto. At last, when all of the world is asleep, you take in the blackness of air. And all of his words are always so beautiful, and I can't do it justice. I really can't. But basically, this first song, DeSelby Part 1, is basically saying, like, all right, all the world's asleep, like, you are dying. You're dying, you're taking in the blackness of air, like, there's just darkness. And it's so funny. It actually says, the likes of a darkness so deep that God at the start couldn't bear. Like, you're going to hell. God couldn't even bear this darkness. God's not down there. You're going to hell. You're going through all the circles, bestie. Yeah, and he says, you know, this new empty space fills it with something or someone. No closer could I be to God, or why he would do what he's done. And then the outro that is just beautiful, and it starts off with like just his voice, and then you have a whole bunch of different harmonies that build up, and like the end of it just gives this like really deep, dark, almost like the angels of hell are like welcoming you into this dark space. And there's like a sonically really pleasing part where it sounds like, and you're kind of like literally being pulled down. It's like, yeah, it's like all the demons and angels are like welcoming you into this dark place, and you're literally just sinking lower and lower. It's so cool. But in the outro, I told you guys he's Irish, correct? Okay, if you didn't know, he is completely singing in Gaelic. And I always sing along, even though I can't. So I'm gonna butcher it, but it's like, well, if it's around a circle, a togis nos na ha, three na kela, la kela klea. And it's kind of like, it keeps kind of doing that. I'll just kind of read a little bit of it. In English, it says, you're all bright ease. Like, you are all bright ease. But you come on like night, entangled, together, transformed. And then at the end of it, it says, but you come on like night, like I said before. Art is a transformation. It is a dark art. What are we talking about? Like, he's just so cool, right? It's like I said, it kind of like, it drags you down. Now, before you start listening to that song, I'm going to go right into DeSelby Part 2, because they're kind of, they're not the same sonically, but like, it's a beautiful transition just right into it. And so it's almost like you're falling, you're being sucked into it, and boom! You're in the circles of hell, bestie. Welcome. Like, literally, like, it gives just like a welcome to hell, we've been expecting you kind of vibe, like right off what you're giving, what you live in. Oh god, it's groovy. The bass is going boom, boom, boom. And then like the chorus is just him belting. I wanna run against the world that's turning. I move so fast that I'd outpace the dawn. I wanna be gone. I wanna run so far I beat the morning before the dawn has come. I'd block the sun if you want it done. But yeah, it's just, God. And then it's, the pre-chorus is really cool. It says, I want to be when you fall on me like night. I want to kill the lights. And then it goes right into what I just sang before. And it's just like, I don't really know. Oh my God. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just fun. It's just like, welcome to hell. You're here. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how really to like have that kind of fit into Dante's Inferno and like the circles of hell, but it's just a really, really fun song. I honestly think it should have been a single. It's just so, I could bop to it. Literally, I remember like, I think it was a time in like September or October, I was in the car and there was like a Ford F-150 right next to me, and they were blasting DeSelby Part 2. And I was like, not you being into Hozier, Mama and Peepaw, in your Ford F-150 truck. Like, hey, you have taste. Good to know. But yeah, just the whole thing, like, fall on me like night, I want to kill the lights. Like, he really continues to do this whole motif of just, like, darkness, because everything's dark. Like, it's hell. Everything's dark and deep and nah. And he really continues to talk about, like, killing the lights, falling on me like night. He wants to beat the morning before the dawn has even come. He'd block the sun. Like, we are fully immersed in darkness. That is exactly what he's getting into here. So really, really cool stuff. So go ahead and listen to those two back to back. And when you're done, start playing this bad boy again. We are going to jump right on in to the third song, which is called First Time. It's really, really beautiful. I mean, I'm going to say that about literally every single one. But, oh my god, and the chorus is different each time. So I'm just gonna... You know what? Okay. I'm just gonna read these lyrics to you. Remember once I told you about how, before I heard it from your mouth, my name would always hit my ears as such an awful sound? Like, that is such a beautiful way to open up a song and basically say, like, I am so in love with you. I didn't like the sound of my own name until I heard it come from your mouth. What if... What if I end my life? Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't... And the soul, if that's what you call it, uneasy ally of the body, it felt nameless as a river undiscovered underground. Like, my soul didn't even feel like mine, bro, until I met you. I'm gonna kind of move through. So the chorus is, some part of me must have died the first time that you called me baby. But also some part of me, and he says, and some part of me came alive the first time that you called me baby. So it's called First Time for that reason. I love this whole verse and pre-chorus. I think about it daily. He goes, these days I think I owe my life to the flowers that were left here by my mother. Ain't that like them, gifting life to you again? Can we unpack just that? Flowers that were left here by my mother. Ain't that like them, gifting life to you again? Like, your mother gave birth to you, she gave you life, and then also, like, she gives you these flowers, which are, like, they're a lot, like, they are life. They're giving life. Anyways, so, gifting life to you again. This life lived mostly underground, right? Like, you're planting seeds in the ground to bloom. Right? So they're underground, unknowing either sight nor sound, till reaching up for sunlight, just to be ripped out by the stem. Like, we're talking about the full journey of a flower, but also, like, it's a metaphor for life, right? So just to be ripped out, so reaching up for sunlight, just to be ripped out by the stem, sensing only now that it's dying, drying out, then drowning blindly. Think about it, right? Like, you pull out a flower, you're gonna stick it in a vase, right? But it's drying out. It's drying out. You stick it in that water, then it's drowning blindly, blooming forth its every color in the moments it has left. So you give it some water, it is, it's blooming back out. Thank God you gave it water. But it doesn't have that. Like, think about when somebody gifts you flowers and you put it in a vase, they only last a couple days. So they're blooming beautifully for the moments it has left, to share the space with simple living things, infinitely suffering, but fighting off, like all creation, the absence of itself. And then he goes, anyway, at the end of that verse, and goes, anyways, and goes right into the chorus. He's sick. He's sick. He's sick. To share the space with simple living things, infinitely suffering. It's like, yeah, these flowers, they're just a very infinitesimal part of life, right? Like, they're just flowers in the vast expanse of the universe. We're all infinitely suffering, we're all just out here living, and we didn't ask to be here, but we're here, and we're trying our best, and we are fighting off, like all creation, the absence of ourselves, right? Like, there's a part of us that's all kind of afraid of death and our own mortality, and we're trying to fight that off, like all of the rest of creation. It's beautiful. It really is. And yeah, just the fact that he just goes, anyway, at the end of that one really gets me. And then, instead of it saying, some part of me must have died the first time that you called me baby, he says, some part of me must have died each time that you called me baby. Some part of me stayed alive each time that you called me baby. We got a little bridge. He does a whole nother verse, and then at the end of the song he does the chorus one last time, but he says, some part of me must have died the final time. So he goes first time, each time, the final time, and then it ends. So it's like, it's a beautiful little, yeah, I don't know, it's really great. It's really great. I don't really have like much else to say about it, but it is, I really like, I love it sonically as well. I don't really know the ooh la las, the bridge, the ooh la la, come be ooh la la, whatever, do, whatever keeps you around, it keeps you around. Very, very beautiful. I just, that this man can write some, like, he can write some lyrics, but he can write some songs, and they're catchy. Now, this next song, so go ahead and listen to First Time, and then we're going to talk about Francesca, okay? This track 4, Francesca, this one is the one that made me sob the most, because in most of the interviews that he did, he talked about Francesca and the story behind Francesca. There's a painting out there, I can't remember who it's by. Let me look up, what is Francesca by Hozier about, or based on. If you can hear my incessant clacking and clickety clacking, I apologize. But basically, it is explained and loosely based on this story. Okay. Oh, it's from this. Okay, so, I can just read this to you guys. Perfect. Thank you, Reddit. Girl, I don't care. Continue with Shayla. I don't care. Why does it do this? Okay, this is in the Hozier Reddit. Okay. So, as Dante and Virgil descended to hell, remember, this is Dante's Inferno, so this is Dante, and then Virgil is like the spirit guide. They passed through the circle of the lustful, so this is the circle of hell that's about lust, where the souls of sinners who gave themselves over to sexual pleasures are punished by being transformed into a whirling cyclone that whisks them about and buffets them, just as in life their intense passions toss them to and fro into sin. Dante and Virgil encounter two shades who are so closely tied together that they seem to fly as one, and they identify themselves as Paolo and Francesca. And so Francesca actually like starts to talk to Dante and explains how they fell in love. So this is the context of the song, okay? Francesca's father entered into an alliance with Rimini's leaders, agreeing to marry his daughter to their heir apparent, Giovanni. So the marriage, and I can kind of go now into it without really reading it, but the marriage was a political one. Like, it was arranged. Francesca was not into this man. She was not about it. Just putting it that way. Like, it was not a happy one. However, Francesca did fall in love with Giovanni's younger brother, Paolo. So she was arranged to marry Giovanni, and they were together, but it was a very unhappy marriage. But Francesca was like, your brother, Paolo. And they were in love. Okay? So, basically, Giovanni discovered their affair, and he killed both of them in rage. That's literally it. And now this I didn't know, but apparently Dante is so overwhelmed with the story that Francesca is telling. He's so overwhelmed with pity and cries so hard that he faints. Honestly, me on that bed, literally listening to this song for the first time and just sobbing. And I still can't tell, like, whose perspective this song is from. I think it's probably either Francesca talking to Paolo or Paolo talking to Francesca. But that's a really, really sad way to just go out. And, like, you know, back at this time, Francesca was young. Like, she was young. And she was arranged to be married to this much older guy. So it was a really, really unhappy arranged marriage. And she fell in love with the younger brother who was around her age. Like, it's just... And it was beautiful puppy love. They were infatuated with each other. and older brother finds out and kills them. It's just awful. And so I'd heard Hozier talk about this story time and time again in different ways. And then the song opens up, and it gives like rock ballad towards once you kind of get into the chorus, and he's just belting, but it starts off with just his voice, and it goes, "Do you think I'd give up? That this might have shook the love from me? Or that I was on the brink? How could you think, darling, I'd scare so easily? Like, I'm not afraid. Do you think I'd give up on us? That like, yes, both of us, were together and we loved each other so deeply when we were alive, and yes, we were brutally murdered. But even as we are in this circle of hell together, of lust, I'm not giving up on you. We're still together. We're moving as one in this cyclone, He goes, now that it's done, there's not one thing that I would change. My life was a storm since I was born. How could I fear any hurricane? He's like, I've already gone through literally hell and back. How could I fear what this is? And the pre-chorus says, if someone asked me at the end, I'd tell them, put me back in it. Now, I'm trying to picture this being from Francesca or Paolo's perspective, talking to each other, or to the other one, and it literally, like, there's tears in my eyes right now. That is so beautiful. They lived such not good lives, They had to love each other in secrecy, and when it was found out, and their love wasn't long, it was very short-lived, and they're like, yeah, we went through all that just to find each other, and then it was short-lived, and we died. But if someone asked me at the very end of my life if I would do it all over again, I would tell them to put me back in it. I don't care. And then the chorus goes, darling, I would do it again if I could hold you for just a minute. I would go through it again, and I would still be surprised I could find you in any life. If I could just hold you for a minute, I would do it again. And just the way that it's sung, I would still be surprised I could find you, darling, in any life. Just for a minute. All that suffering would be worth it. Oh my god. Yeah, I can't even go into the other verse and all this stuff. But the outro is like this. Like the beat is going and you're just. But it goes, I would not change it each time. So I wouldn't change a thing, right? Heaven is not fit to house a love like you and I. Like, I know they're in hell. I know they're in that lust circle of hell, right? But they're saying it don't even matter. Heaven's not even fit to house a love like you and I. Oh. Anyways, so yeah, that song really gets me. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm being so normal about this. So go listen to Francesca and let it just immerse you. Like, get on your best crisp headphones and just sit, because it's beautiful. It is. I'm telling you, like, so many of these songs, a lot of Hozier's songs are love songs, period, if you really, like, dig into them. But that was just, so beautiful. Okay, we're going to move on to I Carry On, because I'm moving very slowly and I'm trying to make this not as long as it already is. So this one is called I, Carry On, but also in parentheses it says I Carry In. So it's kind of like a play on words. If you know about the story of Icarus was trying to build this contraption to learn how to fly, and he flew too close to the sun, and I think he had like a contraption that had like some sort of material, probably feathers or something like that, and he flew too close to the sun and he burnt, his contraption. It was burnt to a crisp, and he plummeted to the ground and fucking died. Sorry, I didn't mean to curse like that, but he did. So literally the intro, if the wind turns, If I hit a squall, allow the ground to find its brutal way to me. And he does this like 3 or 4 part harmony at the beginning, and then just kind of like, you, and then it's just a little guitar, boom, bing, ba-ding, boom, bing, ba-ding, boom. And then he just so gently, it's such like a beautiful, it almost feels like a lullaby. You know, like when you think about those lullabies that like our parents used to sing to us, or whoever was your caregiver would maybe sing to you, and you think about like that lullaby, like Rockabye Baby on the Treetop, and how like you think it sounds really cute, but then you listen to the lyrics and it's like, what do you mean the baby is falling? Like the cradle fell and the baby is plummeting to its death. That's what this gives. It's like it's rocking you, you gently being rocked back and forth. And it's like, if I hit a squall, allow the ground to find its brutal way to me. Huh? Let me fall to my death. And then like genuinely all of the lyrics are like about like feeling like you're floating and falling. You're reaching rarer heights now. Yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm talking about it, but I'm also like incorporating some of the lyrics as I talk. The pre-chorus. So in the first verse, he's like, I'm reaching rarer heights than I've ever like reached before. And I'm getting closer and closer to the height that I want to reach. And the pre-chorus then says, and though I burn, how could I fall when I'm lifted by every word you say to me? Once again, he's doing the whole I'm in love with you thing. Like, the way that most of his lyrics are just like, how can I say I love you in 20,000 different ways? And it's like, yes. I am lifted by every word you say. Even though I'm burning and falling to my death, I'm lifted by every word you say to me. If anything could fall at all, it's the world that falls away from me. Like, oh my god. And there's one part where he's like, once I wondered what was holding up the ground, but I can see that all along, love, it was you, all the way down. Like, all the way down as he's falling to his death. He's like, you were my world, and you were holding it up. Like, that is so beautiful. Yeah, okay, I can't fully, like, go into all of this, but obviously, if we're talking about Icarus, I would assume that we're talking about greed. Like, he just got greedy. He just wanted more and more height. He wanted to reach higher heights. Honestly, I hate that I said that. And fell to his death. Idiot. But Hozier finds a way to turn it into a love song, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And then we get into wow wow, why don't I wow? So listen to I Carry On. And then we're gonna go into Eat Your Young. Okay, if you haven't heard this one before, just go listen to it because it genuinely is very, very good. It's very catchy. I would say this one's probably about 100%. It's about gluttony, not probably. Literally, it's called Eat Your Young, and it starts off literally saying, I'm starving, darling. Let me put my lips to something. Let me wrap my teeth around the world. So first of all, he's coming out the gate talking about eating stuff, but it's giving a little horny. Like, why is he horny? That's also like a trend that you'll see with a lot of Hozier songs, not just through Unreal Unearthed, but like in other albums and songs. You're like, why is he saying the most wonderful love poem type stuff? It's just gut wrenching. And then also he's a little too horny. But anyways, it's very much just based on eating and eating and eating. But let me just read the chorus and then I will keep it moving. But it is very, like, the lyrics and the song, sonically, is just do 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 do. It's so, it gives like it, the way I just sang it, it's giving jazzy, and I'm obsessed with it. But anyways, so it's get some, like, come and get some, like, food. You little greedy gluttonous bastards, come get some. Pull up the ladder when the flood comes. First of all, that's crazy. Pull up the ladder when the flood. That's first of all, that's giving Noah's Ark. So he's getting biblical on us, but he's just like, yeah, go ahead, like just start killing people. Throw enough rope until the legs have swung. So we're talking about leaving people to get murdered by the flood, just getting drowned out. We're talking about people that are being hanged. We're talking, and then he says 7 new ways that you can eat your young. Come and get some. Skinning the children for a war drum, which is a crazy political commentary and social justice commentary right there. Not even going to get into that. Putting food on the table, selling bombs and guns. Anyways, it's quicker and easier to eat your young. Well, ain't that just a political thing to say? Let me just read that one last part again. Come and get some. Skinning the children for a war drum, putting food on the table, selling bombs and guns. It's quicker and easier to eat your young. Just, yeah, I get it. It's quicker and easier, so do it. You know, let the children suffer. Go ahead and kill them. That's what you're doing. The way you're living, yeah, you little greedy bastards. You're killing the next generation. They got nothing left. Well, yes. Thank you, Andrew. So listen to that song. It's fantastic. Also, I believe there's a music video. It doesn't have to be that hot. You should go watch it. The next song is called Damage Gets Done. Now, we're about halfway through the album right now, so bear with me. We're getting there. Damage Gets Done. This song features Brandi Carlile. If you haven't heard of Brandi, you should get into her because she has a voice like silk, and it is strong and powerful, but so smooth. And it is very wonderful. Anyways, this song actually had to grow on me. I don't know. To kind of give you a rundown of what it's about. It says, in Damage Gets Done, Hozier recruits Brandi Carlile to reflect on the negative space between being young and silly and being reckless, and the actual harm that is done in the long term to life on the planet or in society. This one tackles the fourth circle of hell as well, which is known as, like, greed. So yeah, we're still doing the greed here. We're greedy bastards, right? It's like, it's so much fun being young and being reckless. There's nothing wrong with that, but then actually, like, there's a fine line, and then you actually cause harm if you're not careful. Like, you can be silly, but this is damaging silly. And so I'm kind of just gonna go, let's do the chorus. And darlin', I haven't felt it. He loves to say darlin', obviously. I haven't felt it since then. I don't know how the feeling ended, but I know being reckless and young is not how the damage gets done. Surprise, surprise. Sometimes it is how the damage gets done. But yeah. It's a really, really beautiful, like, I just really enjoy listening to it. It gives a song for the summer. Genuinely, like, windows down, you're on the highway, and you're maybe going, like, 65, maybe in the middle lane, and the sun's out, and you're just cruising. Like, that's what it gives. It's very beautiful. I like it a lot, but I did say it had to grow on me. Now, this next song, technically there's no lyrics. It's an instrumental, and I don't know how else to explain it. I'm gonna read what Genius kind of describes, and then I'm gonna give you my take, because this song was the second song that just, like, made me start sobbing. And like I said, there's no words. And I will explain to you why, but let me read this first. It says, this song represents Dante's first steps towards the light on his journey through hell. In an interview for EW, Entertainment Weekly, I'm assuming, Hozier revealed that although the song is about Nyx, like the son of Nyx, so Nyx is the Greek goddess of light, And her son, I'm gonna mess this up, but it's the guy who ferries like the newly deceased souls across the river Styx. Oh, it has a much more personal meaning for him. It is a tribute to the late father of Hozier's close friend. Yeah, he actually originally wrote this little part as like a little thing for his friend to kind of help with, the grief of losing his father. But now that, we're talking about, the Greek goddess's son who ferries newly deceased souls over through the river Styx, basically into, you know, um, into the end, right? Like, okay, you've died. Well, let me carry you over to eternal life. It's really, really beautiful. And don't skip over this one. Don't. It is like, okay, you know what? I think I shed tears for Francesca, but Son of Nyx, I absolutely was just sobbing. I was a mess. Um, because if you listen to it, really, like, this is one of those ones I'm like, use your headphones because, oh my god, if I could tell you every little element, like, there's elements of almost every song on the album that you've heard so far, and elements of each song that's after this song that you can hear in it. So even though there technically are no lyrics, you can hear some of the lyrical motifs that were in Damage Gets Done that we just talked about. You can hear some moments of DeSelby, I believe, as well. I believe you can hear Eat Your Young. Oh my god, you know what I skipped over? Y'all, I'm so sorry. I skipped over Who We Are. Oh, you know what's crazy? I'm about to start crying thinking about it. Because you know what happened? I shed tears listening to Francesca. Then I started to sob listening to Who We Are. And then I started convulsing with sobs when I heard Son of Nyx. Because the way that Who We Are goes into Son of Nyx, there are elements of Who We Are that's in Son of Nyx that just hits so hard. Ooh! It almost Son of Nyx almost sounds like a video game type like instrumental moment at one part, a few parts. And there are so many elements of like, yeah, I could see like how this is Dante's like first step towards the light, but like you're still in hell, and it's very apparent with the way that the song goes and the way it sounds. But before we get into Son of Nyx, let me just quickly talk about Who We Are, because this is literally like the one that made me sob, and I almost started crying again because I just looked, according to Genius, on June 28th, which is my birthday. So June 28th of last year, Hozier sent out an autographed postcard to a fan who pre-ordered the album, revealing that Who We Are is track number 8 on the album. So on my birthday is when it was revealed that this song was going to be the song it was. Like, this was the name of it. And it happened on my birthday, and I didn't even know. I didn't even know about this until way after my birthday. So I just... that's how I feel. Like, something like that happens and you're like, wow, like, this was really meant to reach me. This was really meant to, like, touch me and touch my soul in such a way. That's some weird divine coincidence there, that it happened to be on June 28th. But, yeah, I feel like this song it just talks about, I don't really know how else to explain it. It just talks about, like, human and humans and human beings and humanness, and the absolute tragedy of what it means to be human and to be imperfect. It's just who we are. Literally. Let me see. Let me just read the chorus to you, and then I'll move on. We're born at night. So much of our lives is just carving through the dark to get so far. And the hardest part is who we are. It's who we are. And you know, a lot of it is also talking about like a relationship. Like, you and I burned out our steam chasing someone else's dream. We sacrificed, we gave our time to something undefined. It's just so, like, we're born. I mean, think about it. When you're first born, it's just darkness. And then there's like a big bright light and way too many people, and you are kicking, screaming, crying, throwing up, literally. And that's kind of how we spend the rest of our lives. Maybe internally, just trying to figure out life. You know, we're literally spending so much of the time of our lives just carving through the dark, just trying to make sense of something. Like you think about sculptors and how they're like carving beautiful things, but they're being very intentional. It's kind of like we just have a knife and we are just like hacking away. Like, I don't know what is going on, but I gotta make something out of it, and I'm just trying. And we're trying to do it to get so far in life, to just meet our goal of whatever we think our goal and our purpose is on this earth. We try to get so far. And the hardest part about all of it is just who we are as human beings. It's really, really gut-wrenching. And there's a part right before the outro where I've never heard someone belt the way that Hozier does. He belts with so much emotion. Like, that's what got me. Like, I already was like, oh my God, like, my humanness is a gift, it's a blessing, and it's a curse. And then he just, like, the way that he just belts for like 30 seconds of this song. And it's just, it almost gives like a blood curdling scream, but it is so sonically beautiful. I'll do it, but in a lower. It goes, yeah, yeah, hey, hey. But it's like really, really high, and he is just, yeah. It's so, like, it's like he's wailing and he is grieving on behalf of all of us. Just the absolute pain and suffering that existence brings. I don't know how else to explain it. As someone who is a Christian and is religious, it took me there. It took me there of like, we're not perfect. And we have so many faults, but you know who unconditionally loves us? I'm not gonna preach at you. I'm not gonna preach at you. I'm gonna just say it, you know? And that sacrifice and the pain, thinking about like the crucifixion and just like the torture. And I'm thinking about like that wailing and that belting. And it takes me there. I wasn't really thinking that in the moment when I was like really, really crying over this song and sobbing the first time I heard it. But I think in the back of my head subconsciously that was there, and that was really powerful. It's like someone loves you so much that they're willing to take on the faults of your humanness. The Christian in me is like, oh my God, like the fact that somebody would sacrifice themselves because of my own humanness. And just the absolute grief and suffering that comes out of those blood-curdling belts. It makes me think of, like, the crucifixion, and and, like, at the time, I wasn't thinking about that when I was sobbing back there the first time I listened to it, but, now, you know, maybe subconsciously that was there, and that's what I was thinking of, but, yeah, and then, like, as you get into Son of Nyx, like I was saying before, it really does, it feels like you're being ferried over through the river Styx, and you're literally like going through it all. So you're getting like a recap of things that you've heard before, but you also know that you are now being delivered across the river into this new part that you haven't explored yet. And so, like I said, there's elements of all of the songs that came before, especially Damage Gets Done and Who We Are, because those are the last two songs you hear before Son of Nyx. And then you hear really, really strong elements specifically of Abstract Psychopomp in parentheses, which is going to be the third to last song on the album. So just remember that. You'll hear like a see how it shines, and then a that's Abstract. And you'll hear that in Son of Nyx. That's why I just did that. But it is really, really beautiful. Listen to Son of Nyx. It's so beautiful. There's a part towards the end where it goes, until we do, 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 do. That's from Damage Gets Done, which you've already heard. And then it goes, who we are. That's Who We Are, the song that was right before this. Like, there's just little elements throughout. And yeah, it's just, oh god, I love Son of Nyx. And then, Son of Nyx ends, and you go right into a very, like, boom, and it goes into like a groovy, but then it just starts to get into like a very church gospel-y type of vibe at the end. Like, it literally sounds like a black choir at the end. It probably is, because they kind of ate. And there's a part of it, I need you guys to listen to this one so that y'all can confirm if I'm on to something when I say that I think there's a certain part of it that sounds like something else. But yeah, it's called All Things End. Like those songs that have really, really sad lyrics, but they sound really happy. Like, for example, Hey Ya by Outkast. If you look at the lyrics of Hey Ya by Outkast, they're like, you know what, I'm spitting right now about the end of the world and how we treat each other and how everything is falling apart. And at one point he's like, y'all don't even want to hear me, y'all just want to dance. And I am in fact dancing and going, hey ya, instead of hearing that part. Like, it is gut-wrenchingly depressing. This is like that. Like, it's called All Things End for a reason. I'll just kind of read the chorus. And all things end. All that we intend. So everything that we have with good intentions, it's just end up, scrawled in sand. And it slips right through our hands. And just knowing that everything will end shouldn't change our plans when we begin again. So it's like, everything that we do, is it worth it? Do we think it's going to be beneficial? Is it going to impact somebody's life? Does it matter? Is what we're doing, does it matter? Because we're all going to die anyways. All things are going to end. Everything that we intend to do, it's just going to be a part of history, but, it may not even be that noticeable. We're not going to individually be in history books. Unless you're, really, really cool and do something really awful or really, really good, But it just says, but just knowing that everything's going to end shouldn't change your plans when you begin again. It's still, even though maybe nothing matters, shouldn't change your plans of doing something to, I don't know, fulfill your purpose on this earth with a sense of hope. So it's it's sad, but it's also just we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. And like I said, the end of it, there's a part, and it really is like a black gospel choir, and I want to say it's the altos, because I'm an alto, and it goes, how can I do this? And all things end. It goes, wait, I need to listen to it. Hold on, wait. And all things end. No, let me just sing it in the way he sings it. And all things and all that we intend. So it goes, it's scrawled in sand, slips right through our hands, and just know when it goes, all things and that, that, that makes me think of there's something about you, baby, that makes me want to give it to you. That. All things that something about you. Like, it just, if you don't know that song, it's In the Closet by Michael Jackson. If I'm on to something, let me know. Listen to it and let me know, okay? But we are going to move on. Now, I know that was my interpretation of it, but it's talking about, that song is talking about the theme of heresy, with the speaker implying that, like, the listener does not believe them. I know I was kind of talking about it in, like, this, like, existential, like, your purpose on earth, but it also, the interpretation kind of leaned towards, like, the end of a romantic relationship. Like, all things must end, including this relationship. And, it is what it is. There's no need to be cynical about it. You can still kind of just say, like, yeah, there's still hope that everything's going to be fine. So yeah, it kind of ties into the heresy circle, if you will. Then we go into someone from a warm climate. In parentheses, I cannot say this word, but it is in Gaelic. And the Irish word that I cannot pronounce is an Irish word for something that has been made cold by water. Also on my birthday, he sent an autograph letter to a fan previewing the lyrics of the song, revealing that this one was track 11. I don't really have much to say about this one. Like, that's kind of, but it is really interesting that it's called To Someone from a Warm Climate, and then, like, in parentheses, it also is called something that has been made by cold water. So it's like, it kind of talks about, it almost feels like a guy mansplaining to a woman why they just don't fit. Like, yes, loving you came extremely easy, but we are entirely different. Like, everything came naturally, and also, like I'm someone who was born from of cold water, and I'm addressing this to you, someone from a warm climate. And, like, yes, we naturally fell in love and it was beautiful, but also, like, it was just a dream that we didn't even know we were in, and we need to wake up because this is not going to work. And it's a really, really like, oh, the songs are very beautiful, but the way he switches, especially in the chorus, very like easily back and forth from a very, like, beautiful falsetto that's in his higher range, and he's still up in his higher range, but then he flips into, like, this belty, and, like, it really is a ballad. It's a powerful ballad, and I like it a lot. I don't have much to say about it, though, which is interesting. Okay, then we're gonna go into Butchered Tongue. This one is also on the slower side, but it's not really a ballad. This is talking about the seventh circle of hell. So it's known as, like, the circle of violence. Hence why it's called Butchered Tongue. And it very much is talking about, I wasn't super into this song, and then I, like, really listened to it, and I was like, wow, another really, really powerful, like, kind of, like, social justice-y, like, political conversation here is happening. It's saying that, like, a lot of what the world has been built upon, like, the history and the richness of our history and context, is just being absolutely obliterated. And he kind of talks about it here, in the first verse. He's like, when I was growing up as a child, I would, be in my home country, and I would see signs that say things in Gaelic, right? And like these beautiful, beautiful names. And now they're just not it. Like they're not there. And but also on top, and like they're not there because of the colonization of my people. Like that's what he's getting into. He's like, everything used to be so beautiful and so authentic and in this deeply rooted like indigenous culture, and we have just trampled all over that with war. People have been literally butchered. Like it is a butchered tongue. Like I remember seeing all of these things in this beautiful language, in these beautiful tongues, and they no longer really exist or are thriving and surviving in the way that they used to because we have just obliterated it and those people. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. And like by the end of it, of each chorus, it says, even though, let me just say, you know what? I'll just read the chorus. It says, "So far from home to have a stranger call you darling." He loves saying darling, I told you. "And to have your guarded heart be lifted like a child up by the hand." And then this is the part that I was kind of like talking about with my interpretation. "In some town that just means home to them." Just means home. Like it's not really their home. "With no translator left to sound." So like all of those older places that had all of those like really unique sounding names that were very indigenous and very beautiful, now, this new person who conquered over it and colonized it is calling it home, and they have done so much damage that they're in so much butchering. There's no translator left to sound out any of those those towns, of those road signs, of the type of food that was eaten there. So yeah, he's saying, with no translator left to sound, a butchered tongue is still singing here above the ground. Like, not everybody has been obliterated, not everybody has been torn down. There's still, we may be butchered, we may be absolutely torn to shreds, but we're still here. And don't forget that. We're still singing here above the ground. After all the violence that you have committed, we're still here. And we won't be forgotten, even though you're trying really hard to make sure we do get forgotten. It's beautiful. It's so powerful. Okay, 4 more left. So go listen to Butcher Tongue, and then we're going to get into Anything But. Now, this one is very upbeat. It's very, very upbeat. Like after those 2 slow songs, and then it's just Anything But. It's actually really funny to kind of hear that. So I'm going to read what Genius has to say. So it is, this track represents the 8th circle of hell. What is the 8th circle again? Fraud. You're a liar. So the upbeat claps and drums portray a story of someone attempting and yearning to distance themselves from their partner. It illustrates this narrator's desire to push further away from this person. So like it's very upbeat. It sounds very happy. It's so, what it gives? For any Harry Styles fans out there, once you get to Canyon Moon, it's like ding 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 ding. This is what this gives to me. Like this is Hozier's Canyon Moon in this album to me. And then 100%, it really is. So let me see. Like literally at one point he says, "If I was a riptide, I wouldn't take you out." Or what's the part where he's talking about it? Yeah, "I want to be the thunder of 100,000 hooves." Hooves, he says hooves, not hooves. Hooves moving quick. And he says, "If I was a stampede, you wouldn't get a kick." Like, I want to be as far away. Like, even if I was a stampede, I'm not touching you. I'm not trampling you. You're not getting anything. He literally says, "I want to be the shadow when my bright future's behind me." First of all, we've got shadows. He keeps talking about darkness, and his bright future's behind him. Like he's, anyways, he goes, "I want to be the last thing anybody ever sees." I hear he touches your hand and then you fly away together. So maybe he's talking about God there. I hear he touches your hand and then you fly away together. And he goes, if I had his job, you would live forever. I'm not even touching your hand so that you can fly away into eternal life. I'm gonna let you live forever. That's how much I don't want to be near you. If I had his job to have to touch your hand and carry you over into forever, I'm not touching it. Eternal life. I'm not touching it. You gonna stay alive for the rest forever because I'm not doing it. Fantastic. And the chorus always has like a really powerful, like, it almost feels like a tribal African type of like belt at the beginning of each part of the chorus. It goes, hey, hey, hey. It's really, really beautiful. So go ahead and listen to that. It's a good time. Okay, 3 more. We're making good time, I swear. This one's called Abstract. Now, this was the 3rd one technically 4th one that made me cry. This one is absolutely insane. So, it's called Abstract. In parentheses, it's also called Psychopomp. Psychopomp basically means spirit guide. And this is one that he talked about a lot in interviews as well, so I'm just gonna try and like give a recap of what he talks about. Basically, the part of this song came to fruition because when Hozier was younger, he witnessed something traumatic for his age. I think it was one of the first times that he witnessed something dying. He saw a person driving on the road hit an animal, and that person then like got out of their car, like stopped everything, got out of their car in the pouring rain to go tend to the animal that they had hit, and that animal was dying, like it was going to die, but the least that person could do was just hold it as the light was leaving its eyes, and a young Hozier witnessed that, and it stuck with him, for the rest of his life, because here he is writing about it. And so, thinking about Psychopomp and a spirit guide, it's like the person who caused the death of this animal still was there to like hold it until it passed on to the other side, whatever the other side may be for you and your spirituality, religion, even if you aren't religious, whatever you think, what's after that, even if it's nothing, even if nothing is after this. This person is holding on to this dying animal and is just comforting it until it turns into nothingness. So of course, I said all this was happening and it was raining. So the first verse comes out and he just goes, sometimes it returns like rain that you slept through. He talks about streets, you know what? I think I'm just gonna read this stuff. I think I'm gonna read up until the chorus because it's just okay. Sometimes it returns like rain that you slept through, that washed off the world, the streets looking brand new. I will not be great, but I'm grateful to get through. That's beautiful. I will not be great, but I'm grateful to get through. Like, I'm just human. I'm not gonna be the greatest, but oh boy, am I grateful to be here and to get through. Oh, the feeling came late. I'm still glad I met you. Ow. The memory hurts, but does me no harm. So he's once again now talking about a relationship. Your hand in my pocket to keep us both warm. And then, like I said, the story I told you about. The poor thing in the road, its eyes still glistening. The cold wet of your nose. The earth from a distance. So like this animal is dying. The earth is now coming, they're now leaving the earth. The earth is at a distance now. And then the chorus is just, see how it shines 4 times. And then a lot of oohs. And the ooh, is something that's in this song, but it's also in Son of Nyx. And you can hear it if you, I'm telling you, there's elements of this, oh, so beautiful. But yeah, so the chorus is, like I said, see how it shines. And that's up to interpretation. Some people say it might be the shine of all the rain on the ground, and maybe that's being reflected in like a pair of car headlights or street lights. It could be the way that the animal's blood is glistening. So we're not sure if it's rain, if it's blood, if it's both, or if it's the poor thing in the road and its eyes are still glistening, just seeing how those eyes shine until they fade out. I don't know. It's up to interpretation. So beautiful. But yeah, and it kind of just keeps sorry. I'll read the pre-chorus, the second pre-chorus too. It says, the speed that you moved, the screech of the cars, the creature still moving that slowed in your arms. The fear in its eyes gone out in an instant. Your tear, so it also could be the tear of the person who hit, I'm assuming it's a deer, that caught the light. The earth from a distance, once again. See how it shines. What is shining? I don't know. God. What I don't know is which thingamabobber this is talking about. Let me look. Does it say? Oh, okay. It says this is still talking about the 8th circle of hell. What was the 8th circle again? Fraud, right? So it's like, you killed this thing and now you're gonna yearn and care for it and be sad. Like, of course you're gonna be sad that you killed something, but like, you phony, like you're the murderer. Very interesting. It's like being genuine about grieving, but knowing that you're the one that did something awful. Like, what do you do with that? Oh my god, I've never really thought about it that way. Okay, second to last, baby, we're getting there. This one is called unknown/nth. Think about like math and something just being like to the nth degree. We don't really know what n, like what that number represents. It's kind of just like an unknown number, which is kind of cool. So Genius says, in unknown/nth, Hozier expresses themes of distance, betrayal, and the feeling of being unknown or misunderstood in a relationship. This is talking about the 9th circle of hell, known as the treachery circle, where those who have committed acts of betrayal are punished. So we have reached the 9th and final circle, everyone. We have reached it. So yeah, just that feeling of treachery, of being misunderstood in a relationship. And this song also made me cry a little bit. I didn't sob, but it like just actually I think I choked out a sob at the very beginning and then I like kept it to myself. But there's something crazy about the way that this song opens up with the guitar. It's so beautiful. So you let this beautiful intro happen, and then the first lyrics you hear is, you know, the distance never made a difference to me. I swam a lake of fire. I'd have walked across the floor of any sea, ignored the vastness between all that can be seen and all that we believe, right? Because seeing is not necessarily believing, I'm just saying. So I thought you were like an angel to me, right? It's like we were in this wonderful relationship, and then I realized you don't know me. Like, you don't know me, and that is terrible. That's terrifying. That's awful. You know what? I'm gonna read the verse that I love the most, and then I'm gonna do the bridge and then the last chorus, and then I'll let you guys sit with these lyrics because, okay, so it says, You called me angel for the first time. Like, you called me angel. The first time, my heart leapt from me. So the first time you called me angel, my heart leapt from me, right? You smile now. I can see its pieces still stuck in your teeth. And what's left of it, I listen to it tick. Every tedious beat going unknown as any angel to me. So not only did you not know me, I didn't know you. Because I thought that you understood me to my core. And I guess you weren't showing me all that you were. Because that's crazy. It's the pieces of my heart that you ripped out of my chest. It's still stuck in your teeth. You just absolutely tore my heart to pieces. And what's left of it, I still listen to it tick. Like, that's crazy. And the bridge, he's belting his heart out here. He says, do you know I could break beneath the weight of the goodness, love, he calls the person love, I still carry for you? I could break beneath the weight of the goodness I still carry for you, that I'd walk so far just to take the injury of finally knowing you. Oh my God. And then the chorus throughout this whole thing is, it ain't the being alone. And then it probably, shalala. The shalala gets me. Like, he says the most heart-wrenching everything, and then he goes, shalala. But he says, it ain't the being alone. It ain't the empty home. You know I'm good on my own. Baby, you know it's more the being unknown. And there are some people who are better unknown. Like, that is heart-wrenching. And there's something about that is so, yeah, it's like, you know what? Like, I'm happy. I'm content being by myself. I don't need to be in a relationship. It's not about being alone or feeling lonely or not having anybody else at home to, like, come home to. Like, I'm good on my own. But you know what it is? It's just the fact that I'm unknown once again. Even when I was in a relationship, I was not known. But now there's not even a shot or a chance that somebody that because I'm not in a relationship, so, like, there's not somebody there who can fully, try to get to know me, and so that I can feel seen, that I can feel known, and also so that I can truly know, somebody else to their core. But also there are some people who are just better unknown. So, he's kind of like grieving that relationship and how he wishes things could have gone. And they just didn't go that way. And that is treacherous. Right on, Andrew. Right on. And I love that song. Also, like, that bridge gives, like, a rock ballad moment, but it's such a beautiful song. I said that about all of them. And then we get to my favorite. So listen to Unknown. And this is another one of those songs. Very interesting how DeSelby Part 1 and Part 2 seamlessly transition into each other. Unknown/Nth and the last song of the album, First Light, also seamlessly go into each other. The transition is perfect. So this last song, First Light, this song absolutely made me sob because I knew it was all about the 9 circles of hell. I knew it was about Dante's Inferno. I didn't think there was going to be a song that talked about literally, like, getting through all of those and, like, emerging back into the light. And this song, it starts off and it sounds like like, it's very, like, all of the souls of hell are, like, swirling around you, right? Like, you're really getting to, like, the end of this thing, and it's giving, like, the climax of the whole thing. But it's, like, it's still dark. It's dark. It's minor. And then by the chorus and the pre-chorus, you are just bursting with light and major scales and harmonies that are and melodies that are just all encompassing and so bright. It's like, if you listen to it all the way, like the album all the way through, it literally feels like you have gone through hell, because you really have, and you are coming out like with so much relief, because you feel like you can release all of that heavy darkness that you've been holding on to and that you went through. Like when I sobbed over this song, I it was like a healing sob. Like I wasn't like sad. I was like, "Oh my god." Like I just went through that and I've done it. Like I'm there's the sun. Here, let me just read what Genius says. First Light was chosen by Hozier to be the final song of the album, as it represents the end of Dante's Odyssey through hell, purgatory, and heaven. In the song, he feels the relief of seeing the sky again, like it's the first time, after going through dark periods of suffering. That's exactly what it is. He says in an interview for Independent, Hozier called this a song of reconciliation, like he's discovered after a long journey down that even hell has a way out. Like he literally went through hell and came out the other side, and you're able to see the light again. It's so beautiful, okay? Now, this first verse, I'm only going to do the first verse into the pre-chorus and then the chorus, and then I swear I'll be done. But I need you guys to like I know that I've been saying like a lot of his songs, not only in this album but in previous albums, just have the most wonderful poetic ways to just say lyrically, like, I am so deeply in love with you, in many different forms. I'm tearing up just literally thinking about how oh my god, like I'm literally gonna cry. The words to this verse. Okay, so like I said, we start off with these and it's just like this swarm of souls. It's like as you're emerging out, like you've hit the ninth circle of hell, and now you are out on the other side, like you're about to see the light for the first time in a very, very long time. Like you've gone through it. Okay? The souls are circling, things are culminating, and you're just like, it literally feels like and then like this big burst of light, okay? So he says, and mind you, this whole part is still very minor. It's all in a minor key here, still. One bright morning, and like I said, like throughout this whole album, you are getting so many, you know, songs that are in like more minor or even just like sadder, darker sounding keys, if that makes sense. Like there are some scales and keys that sound darker even if they are major scales. Like E major doesn't, anyways, don't, I'm not even gonna get into all that in terms of like music theory. So we're talking about darkness and bleakness and shadows and all this stuff the whole time, suffering, all of it. And then, okay, so one bright morning changes all things. Soft and easy as you're breathing, you wake. Your eyes open at first 1,000 miles away, but turning shoot a silver bullet point blank range. And I can scarce believe what I'm believing in. Could this be how every day begins? That whole first verse is just talking about the beauty of waking up next to the person that you love most and like watching them wake up. Like you're already awake. It's a bright morning. And you literally get to watch like they're facing you, they wake up, their eyes open at first 1,000 miles away, and then they turn and shoot a silver bullet point blank range right at you. And you see them, you know, because like when you first wake up, you're like kind of in a haze and you're like, what the hell happened? And then you see that person you love and you stare right into their soul. And I can scarce believe what I'm believing in. Could this be how every day begins? And he's belting by the end of this verse. And then he belts even harder in the pre-chorus and the chorus. He says, and this is when it just gets as major as you can get. The sky set to burst, the gold and the rust, the color erupts. You're filling my cup, and the sun's coming up. The color erupts, bro. Think about how dark and bleak and just gray and black and just shadowy and dark hell is. Colors and like the way that he's saying like the color erupt. It's so like I lived my whole life before the first light. Like seeing this light for the first time since going through hell. It's like I lived my whole life doing all that before my first light. This should have been my first light. Like re-experiencing light. This should have been my first. This is what it feels like. It's so beautiful. But anyways, I highly suggest that you guys listen to Unreal Unearth all the way through in one go. Definitely, you know, maybe have Genius open like I have it now and just like read stuff before you it's, and you don't have to, but it's just so, I just feel like everybody should experience, and maybe it's not your cup of tea, right? But push comes to shove, go back and listen to some of the other albums and singles and EPs that he's put out, because there's a little something for everybody. His lyricism touches some of the rawest forms of human emotion that I could ever fathom, and he does it in such a beautifully poetic way. Gotta love Andrew John Hozier Byrne. Gotta love him. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. That was very long. This was way longer than I thought it was going to be, but it was so worth it. I enjoyed going through this in-depth analysis. And if you have any questions, or if you end up listening to something yourself by Hozier, or if you find elements throughout Unreal Unearth that I didn't talk about, put it in the comments and we can geek over it, because I love doing that stuff. I love musical analyses. I wish I could have talked a little more about like the sonically pleasing parts of this album, but you have to listen to it yourself. I'm not going to sit here and try and screech saying all of these parts to you. Like, just enjoy it. Enjoy it for yourself in the way that it truly changed my life and just made me think about our humanness and nihilism, you know, but also like the beauty of life, and how there's so much to live for. Like, this album gave me so much hope, and I hope it can do the same for you. All right, take care, guys. I'll be back probably in another week to talk about probably Ariana Grande, since I haven't done her yet. And yeah, take care. Bye. Conversation and a little more touch my body, 'cause I'm so into you, into you, into you.